Hi everyone, welcome to Netreo User Group Get Together 2023. I am Sushil Nagi. I am Vice President of Engineering at Netreo and I look after the APM platform, and I'm very excited today to announce the launch of a new region of Retrace in Europe and self-hosting capability of Retrace in customer-owned environment. This enables a greater control over your observability data, where it resides, and how we could comply with local regulations and how confidentiality is maintained for sensitive data. Now, talking about the Retrace EU region, the biggest thing that we have heard from our customer is about how we can comply with the GDPR regulation in a more transparent manner, and how we can have the data residency requirement being supported in the local region. In a first step toward this is us offering up a hosted environment or a SaaS-hosted environment in EU, so that we can have all of your customer data residing locally within the Europe itself, and we being able to have a better control over the GDPR compliance, as well as how the data is made accessible to you and stored and protected within the Europe. Now, when we talk about the European regions, from a functionality and features point of view, it is the same functionality that you currently use as part of our Retrace capability with regard to monitoring of your applications or servers, or being able to have your application performance monitoring, or doing code profiling, or having your ingestions of your log in a filtered manner, and being able to explore and reflect upon them, and tracking all the errors that occur. And within that, being able to have your systems being monitored, your issues being identified, triaged, and sorted out. Now, the customers are able to see the same similar traces and logs and the monitoring capability using the Retrace agent or the hotel appliance within the EU region. You would be able to monitor different type of applications which are deployed across your different environment. You would be able to see what top requests, top SQL queries, what type of services, or what top tracked functions are within your platform. Also being able to explore onto what is happening at a code level using the code profiling, and being able to configure and provide error tracking across various components that you have got. Right? Now, how would this basically work? Is that this new region is a complete disconnected region from our current US region, so that we are able to, at the time of provisioning, you get assigned to the European region, so that all of your data that is going to be ingestion into the Retrace platform is going to be residing within Europe. Now, for that, we have got, in parallel to the US region, a new region with a specific set of capabilities being offered up that is going to be accessible at eu.stackify.com. And the customers would be able to access either of eu.stackify.com or s1.stackify.com through the public internet. And those URLs would get you to the specific hosted region within the SaaS platform within Europe or in US, and you would be able to connect. Now, when connecting your applications, either using the Retrace agent or utilizing the hotel appliance, you would be pointing the configurations to connect to either S1 or the EU region of the Retrace platform. And then your data flow would start turning and going into the EU region, that it would ingest the information set, generate a set of additional data processings, as well as store all of those informations to be made available on eu.stackify.com. The advantage that we get as part of this is within a secure perimeter boundary in Europe that we are hosting, which is in Northern Europe Azure region that resides in Ireland. And with that, we would be having all of that data existing into Europe once it gets in, and the data never get exposed outside of this region, except in the scenarios where the customer itself want to get hold of the data, in which case you would need to make it available to you securely. But otherwise, the data is sitting only within the Azure EU region, and then never leaves that particular parameter. All of the internal connections within this particular platform are for internal connectivity through a virtual private internet, but a virtual private network, so that the data parameter and the security parameter is maintained, and we have end-to-end transport level encryption as well as at-rest encryption being there, so that we are able to protect your data within the European region. Okay. Now, with that, let's have a flavor of where this EU region is available and what capabilities does it provide and how we can access it. I would quickly open up the URL for the EU region at eu.techify.com. Okay, so let's go to the eu.techify.com. Now, at the time of provisioning, your user account would get created into this particular region. In my case, like I have one account created in here. So if I log into that, now this login screen, people who has already used Retrace would be quite familiar with. But if you have not used at the time of you getting to a subscription being created, you would be getting the credential associated. Now, with those credentials, when I sign in, I have these 5 applications, which are the sandbox application for the purpose of demo that we have got. Being connected into this EU region, there are a flavor of .NET, Java, Node.js, PHP, and Ruby, and then you can have any other type of application being added to the mix. You can have your applications running in Docker, Kubernetes, or virtual machines, or IaaS, or anywhere that you are having. There is a plethora of multiple languages that we support, as well as multiple hosting environment that we support. So you can use any of those combination, and then you can have those applications reporting into the eu.techify.com. Now, once you get that, and we go into specific applications, we can see all of the monitoring corresponding to it, about the general metrics of how the server capacity and the memory is going on, how the performance of that particular application is at a high level. So we see the request throughput and the general app performance charts, as well as it tells you what is your satisfaction rate, what are the slowest component, what are the number of errors happening, what are the scores happening, and what your load time is corresponding to all of this. In monitoring, you can get specific the server side of matrices about where those components are running. So in this case, this application is running within an AKS Kubernetes environment, where it is running on 2 nodes as 2 instances. So we see what are the CPU matrices and the memory utilization for those particular nodes are. In the APM performance, we can have a further breakdown of the capabilities of getting an overview of what is exactly happening as part of my application, what is happening onto the server side. If you have client RUM enabled, in that case, you would see client request as well. We would take an example of that also. And you can see the server request, how much time it is being taking, what are the slowest one, and what percentage of time is going where. And then you can kind of like get into the traces and view of all of those as well, about what your individual URL's performance is. So we can look at that as part of here. Okay, so we do get a set of component of what exactly is happening within this particular URL. We see the trace view of that, as well as correlation of those traces with the performance metrics that we have captured. Similarly, if there are any errors appearing, which is not in this particular example, those errors would appear here, and then you would see all of the logs appearing onto this. I think the log's not working. Okay. So the same way, like this is same flavor of application functionalities that we have available as part of our US region. We are making those same capabilities available in a localized environment in Europe, so that you can have your data being better protected and being more closely located to where you are and where you want to protect it. Now, the second capability that we are very excited to announce is about how we can have this particular platform being hosted into a customer's environment. Now, that is primarily for the purpose that when we are having a SaaS environment, the data is being definitely going outside of your environment into a SaaS environment that could be within the US or EU, like we are supporting new now. But that still would be taking your data outside of your network parameter and your control parameter and would be getting it into a cloud platform. Now, what this self-hosting capability enables is that you would be able to get your data localized into a parameter that is controlled by you. So if you have a Azure subscription, it is going to be completely maintained and protected by your practices and your control. And within that, we would be having a Retrace being installed so that it lives locally with your workloads, as well as you are able to identify how the different capabilities are being utilized, plus what the infrastructure corresponding to that is, and how all of those protection policies are being there. And at any point of time, the data is never leaving your network perimeter, so you can have a greater level of compliance and governance being applied on it, so to protect your data. This also enables you to have a level of confidentiality being complied with for all of your data. So you have confidential data. That confidential data is stored in a very protected and secure manner within your environment. So you can have a uh, uh, greater level of control, as well as confidence that how your data is being dealt with. Okay. Now, from a journey point of view, we would be still offering the same kind of features within your local environment. And how it would be is that you have a Azure subscriptions that is created specifically for hosting the APM solution. We would have all of those components deployed in there, and then your local on-premise or other cloud capability cloud environment can connect into your own Azure subscription where the Retrace platform is hosted and connect to it securely. From a feature side, you would still be getting the same features that we are having as part of our SaaS platform with regard to application and server monitoring, real user monitoring, code profiling, application performance management, centralized logging, and error tracking side. And the way it would work is you would need to have a new Azure subscription being created, and then you would be delegating a permission to us to Stackify or Netreo support team so that they are able to deploy and manage that particular subscription. Then the support team would provision all of the resources required for the Retrace platform within your Azure subscription, within the parameter and control and the guardrails defined as part of your subscription. And then you can have your applications being connected into that, where your Retrace platform becomes, let's say, available at customername.stackify.com or any other custom domain that you would want to prefer to have in here. And then you can connect to that and access it locally within your environments. The other part of like how this overall architecture and how this particular model would work is that you can have your workload sitting within your on-premise network, or you can have it into a kind of like a private data center, which is, or maybe it kind of like you have shared a kind of like a closed rack space and protected space within a existing data center owned by some other providers, or you can have your workloads within public clouds. Then what we would require to have is a new subscription being created in Azure where this Retrace platform get hosted. You might also have a set of workload already within Azure. Our recommendation would be that we do not reuse those subscriptions, but rather we have a new subscription being created. And then when you have got this particular part where we have the Retrace platform hosted into the new subscription, you have other new subscriptions where your other workloads are running, and then you have your other public cloud or on-premise or data center workloads being there. Then we can have them securely connected through maybe express route or through VPN gateways or many other combinations into this particular subscription. And when you have other subscription, then those subscription can be connected through VNet peering. And with that, we can have a secure connectivity being established, which is protected and always within the control of your IT teams to be able to define how those workloads are talking to each other and how they are secure. For provisioning of these resources, once a subscription is created, it would be an empty subscription, but they would require a delegate role assignment to Netreo support team so that the Netreo support team can run those pipelines which are going to deploy all of these components into Retrace platform. And after those pipelines are executed, we would have a set of workload deployed to put together or give the Retrace platform into this new subscription, and then the Retrace platform become available locally within your infrastructure on, let's say, customername.stackify.com as a domain. Right now, in this situation, we would be able to have all of your application workloads being monitored locally within this Azure subscription. Now, this Azure subscription for Retrace platform, all the workload there as well need to be monitored. We would need that monitoring on the Retrace SaaS platform. Now, in this situation, your data is still not leaving because all of your sensitive data that is coming from your application workload is locally within the Retrace platform hosted in your subscription. Only the logs or monitoring metrics or traces that would be from the Retrace platform about the functioning of various components within it would only be reporting into the Retrace SaaS platform, so that we are able to provide a better amount of governance and control in terms of management of how this particular platform is functioning, and we are able to provide support for that. Okay. Now, this is mainly it from a functionality point of view. This is more or less going to be the similar type of functionalities that we are able to offer within SaaS, locally available in your subscription that is within your control, and how you are able to manage it. Now, from a benefit standpoint, this enables a multitude of benefit from applying the governance of your data over your data and defining a security parameter of how your data is protected and how your data is getting exposed. And this also enables you to have a level of kind of like a um, confidence in being provided to your regulators, your auditing teams, so that how your data is being managed is in a secure manner and is always within your parameter and is never having a risk of exposure outside of this. This also enables you to have a greater amount of control over your costs as well, because when we would be offering Retrace platform on self-hosting, our platform fee is going to be kind of like a defined policy aligned with how much workloads and everything you're having. But with regard to how this particular environment is completely scaling, how it is able to go up and down to support that various other amount of workload that you have got from a monitoring perspective, that control would be entirely within your limit, and then you can choose and define about what particular pieces are more important and not. And we can have a kind of like if you have more uses of logs versus more uses of traces, the environment can be adjusted with your specific part, and then you only pay for what specifically used, and your infrastructure costs are in your control and your data is in your control. Okay, so with that, we are really excited to have these capabilities out in the market. If you have any questions, do let us know. Now, the EU region is being launched as a preview right now, so please get us in touch. It would be generally available pretty soon, and we would please watch out for any further communication around that. But if you have any questions about EU platforms availability or the self-hosted availability, please reach out to us. Thank you.